Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Thursday. It's May the 8th, and it's just around lunchtime. I'm doing this a little bit earlier today. I've been through for a while and meant to go ahead and get this done, but I got tied up with a few other issues. But I'm going to go ahead and do the chart lesson now. It's been a really good day. This move up was really great here, so if you were able to catch any of that, really nice move there. But let's talk about what I saw today as far as trades. And there's some other trades in here that are a little more aggressive that I went back and forth about whether or not to mark, but we'll come back and discuss those. And one of them that I wanted to mark was right here, and I think I'm going to go ahead and mark that one green uh, because it is a good trade, and you could look at it a couple of different ways. We'll discuss it when we get there. But when I came in, we were kind of in this range, and we'd just broken lower, and you got this little breakout uh, pullback short here. But I didn't like it. There's too much overlap right there. We broke out the top and didn't go out the bottom. But if you use the stop, uh, you're getting. I mean, you're entering at the low of the day, and it would have worked, but that's just really dangerous. And I wasn't sure about this little channel. I'm still not 100% sure about this channel, but there is a break and two legs down. But this is, this is generally how I would be drawing that little trend off that high. And so this one was a little bit iffy here. So I just think it was too risky to go short right there. And I'm going to back out. You can see the bigger picture there. And but I did like going long here because this was a pullback to retest this breakout area here. And notice what happens. You've got two nice measured legs down, almost two equal legs, and then you try to go higher and you reverse and you turn straight up, and that's a nice reversal bar. I liked going long right there. That turned out to be one of the quick, easy ones. You know prices are probably going to pull back to that EMA, and you got plenty of room there. You are moving down, but the fact that you got those nice two moves down, and so it is a second entry long. It's actually a second entry long off the lows right here, but when you're buying lows like this on a move down that's real strong, you probably want to wait on the second entry long, counting off the low, and that came right here. Notice the new low. You move up, you pull back, and then you go forward. So that's your second entry low, counting off the other side. And we're just looking for two legs, remember that. So you got your first leg pull back, and you know this is probably coming back to test the breakout area, or at the very least the EMA, and that's what happens. And then, so you might have even considered going low because it looks like a two-tiered range. That's what I was still looking at here. Always in the middle is where it gets, iffy. And this is, but this is a second entry short, and that's a nice bearish bar right there. So aggressive traders probably going to go short right there, and it did work out, but I think it's aggressive for just because it's in the middle of everything. And we did make have kind of a little reversal here, and this makes a higher high, and so now if you make a higher low, then you got to be thinking possible reversal. And then you get two legs back. Notice this new high, you come down, you go up, you pull back, and this bounces right off. Originally I had this just a little bit higher here off that close right there, and it bounces right there. So great place to think about possibly getting long. Goes up, and I considered making this one green as well, but I think it's really a nice two-legged correction. Again, there's two measured legs. You got a higher high and a higher low in place. That's what reversals look like. It looks more like a range day, like we might be going higher, and maybe this was just going to be the trend back up in the range. And it does. It makes another higher high. So now I don't think you want to be going short. You want to see if you don't get another bounce here, because you're making higher highs and higher lows now. When it reverses right there, especially, I don't know what your bars might look like here, but if you got a reversal bar, this is one where you go long. And I know that I even saw a comment on the website for the midday chart that somebody claimed. Even I saw that entry. So I'm assuming that means they're fairly new or still learning. And so most everybody hopefully saw this entry right here. And this was and you can tell that a lot of people did because look at it go. And great setup here. And you don't know that it's going to do this. These are these nice surprises. So this is a nice setup. And you actually, you got a new low and you tried to go lower twice and you're making a higher high each time. And then this makes another higher, pulls back right on that trend line, bounces, and then it comes back and tests it again right on that line. So you should have been able to, even if you didn't have your line yet, you should have been able to get it off those swings. And so I like going long there. It's a little breakout pullback long right here. And you figure now we're probably heading up to here. And there's plenty of room there. So I like that one. It's a first entry. So I did draw it green. It's a little more aggressive. But if you saw that, in case you missed this one, you could have gotten on here. You even could have added on here as well. I don't know if I would have added on if you were already in here. I'd just be hanging on to my runners here. If you trade runners, and look at that thing go. And then you finally get a little close outside, one leg up to a new high, pull back, and then another leg up, and then it pulls back, and it turns out I guess that's one leg, and then you get another measured leg. And that's the thing that's why I'm always telling people, don't, just because you get the break and the new high, don't start trying to look for a short. You got to get a confirmed trend in the other direction. And if you measure that leg, and you see it's almost a perfect measured move. It is, I believe it's like one tick difference from being a perfect measured move. Actually, it's maybe not one tick difference. Maybe it's perfect. That's a perfect measured move. It doesn't get any better than that. But I don't see any more entries here. You might have considered entering long right here. I'll go ahead and make it green. I'm not crazy about it. Because it's too big a chance it turns up and then traps you and comes back down. But it's a second entry long. Pull back, first entry, pull back, and then a break above that was a second entry long. But you're so close to the high, and you see it did continue to go a little higher though. But you can't go short until you get something confirmed in the other way. And now you got the break and two measured legs up. And then you got your first two swings and you come back and test it right here. It's a failed second entry long. Notice how each one of those highs is lower. The buyers are losing steam. I like that one. If you waited on this bar, you had to try to get in a little further back, but I like that little bitty bar right there. Quick, easy move, and then it comes back and it turns down off that line again. Again, I would probably, you could have used a stop here, but you can see there's the low of the range is right here, so it could have easily bounced there. So I think you got to try to use a limit order and hope that maybe it's coming down to this line, and that's what it did. A lot of times you won't see me mark any of these trades, but the fact that we had this big a move up and now you got something confirmed going down, you would have thought we would probably come all the way down, but we didn't. We overshot this big time. Again, this is one that you might think about going long, but we're back in the lower half of this bigger channel, and there's too big a chance that it's going to tick up there and turn back down and keep going, or even come back to here and turn down and keep going. So you were better just to sit tight and skip that one. And then you get a second entry long here, but again, everything is still kind of below the midline here and the EMA. And again, I think it's too risky. You don't want to be going short either, but when it turns back and fails here and goes up, and this one was real tempting for a short, I'll be honest with you. I was real tempted, but it looks like we might have had a break here, and then we overshot here. And sometimes when you overshoot, and this is just a temporary correction in a bigger trend, so sometimes when that stuff happens, you get to break that and they can't get back. They tried to come back twice. You see that. Actually once, two, three times they tried to come back on a retest. But it looks like there's probably a break right here. And then two legs down. But even if you waited, even if you weren't sure and you waited till this break, you tried to go lower twice and failed. But I liked going long right here. Notice this new low, first entry short, pull back, second entry short, and that looks like a pretty good second entry short across these highs right here that failed. But everything has gotten back above the midline, above the EMA. I think you're better just to sit and see what happens. And it goes a few ticks lower and reverses. So I liked going long there. Not as many people still liked it, obviously, because it pulls back again. But when that one fails, I like, you know, you can either add on or you got to get long right there because you're probably going to continue higher. And notice how we went right through those highs there. And that was the last trade I marked. We really didn't have anything until we got going here. And on this one, it looks like there's a possibility that there was a two-tiered channel here, and it looks like it probably is, since we turned down right there again. But you can see the lower sides holding, and we are getting a break of this trend line here now, just to close outside it. And when I say a break, that just means a close, a solid close outside that trend line or whatever. And that's why sometimes these are a little iffy, because if you just change that trend line just a tad, you know, then maybe you don't get a close outside of it. Let's see if that fits. And that does fit on the, you know, see how you can make that fit. So sometimes you just may not be 100% sure you've got the channel right. And that does make this the first break now. It's still, maybe it's real close, but again, you probably could just move it just a tad higher and you don't have a close outside, but now you don't touch here. So I think this has to be a little steeper right there. And that probably looks right. And so it's still real close whether you got a close outside right there. And it still fits there either way. So you can tell, you can see there that just a little bit of, you don't have to have it exactly right, but you got to be close. And this one was just real close. So good short no matter what. But then I really didn't see anything I liked until maybe right here. Notice that that's a two-legged move up, so that's really a second entry, but that's real congestive, so it's like a failed breakout. But you got this that was acting as resistance, and now it's been acting as support, so you're going short right into it. I think you've been better off. That's a breakout pullback short really right there to enter there, or maybe even enter there, because now you got the failed second entry long. Notice this new high, pull back first entry, pull back second entry, it fails, and you can see it was a nice move down. So there's definitely a good short right there based on the way we look for our traps on reversals. And that's what I saw for today. I'll back out again just so you can see what we're looking at here. And you would think that we're probably, and this was another clue we may go lower here. Notice we couldn't get back to the upper side. So that's telling you that if we break lower, we're probably going to continue lower, and we may overshoot this side about the same amount that we undershot on this side. So we'll see what happens. But that's what I saw today. Nice day. This right here really made some money, these first couple of trades here. This one in particular, and even this one was a pretty good move. So good trading day. I was done fairly early today. And but we got one more day this week. We'll be back to do it tomorrow. Let me see if there was anything else. Seems like there was one chart maybe I was going to show. Trader asked me about a trade. I'm going to pause it just a sec. Okay, here's a chart I got, and trader, he sees it pretty well. He sees the bigger channel, and he sees this a little bit different than me. He drew it off those first couple of swings down there, so this looks pretty good right here. I didn't actually see that. As you can see, I used this channel, but it just shows you that you don't necessarily have to see it exactly the same, that you can just be close. And there's different ways to get to the same thing. And notice he got the break, the move to a new high, and I think we did go on and make a new high right there. He's looking at this channel kind of coming up, the break, the move to a new high, and then we've been selling off. But he also saw the bigger picture on the bigger channel with the midline, so very good. But the question he had, he was looking at a trade right here that he went short and he lost. And I don't think he has this channel necessarily right. It's possible because the downtrend does start there, but I think it really started there because that's a lower high and then another lower. So I really, you still get kind of the same outcome. You get the break and it tries to retest it, but notice it's not touching his line or anything. And I think this is probably much closer to being the better way to draw it, but he's close enough even with that he should get to the same place. But the thought is if he's trading as this is channel and these two breaks, these could be good enough for your break and a couple of legs up. But generally when you get this stuff in the overnight, it's not as reliable. And if this thing keeps holding, I would keep playing this and look for a break and then a retest, and you got that. And that might have been enough to keep you from going short here. Actually, it looks like his short would have worked right there. I don't recommend taking it, but it's hard to say. Let me just look at my chart. That's going to be right here. And I got a big green bar, so you're getting in much lower on mine than he did. Or is it this move right here? No, it's the one after the big move down. So he went short right in here, and you know, you can see it doesn't look nearly the same on mine, but what happened here was he had a little doji way up, or a bar that didn't close as far down. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that trade should have worked. Maybe I'm not, it's hard to tell because you can't see, but it looks like 1 tick, 2 tick, 3, 4. It looks like there's 5 ticks of movement starting 1 tick lower there. So it looks like the trade would have worked if he was scalping out. So I'm not quite sure, but he said it did show me the stake I made in this trade. I took this short trade because I saw a recent downtrend and a trap for the breaking the upper range. He was treating this more like a range right here, which it is a little range. He sees that properly, but it's a small, tight range, and you got your break and you failed, and so I like it looking at it more like this. It's because you're making lower highs really and lower lows still. So I think it's more of a downtrend, although it does look real rangy right there. I mean, there's nothing wrong with treating that as a range. It's still a breakout pullback short right here, though, not right here. You actually got back in the range. Actually, you didn't get back in the range. You came back and tested it. Let me go back to his chart because you came back and tested it again, but you're going short right there above the EMA. When you get around this EMA, it's kind of like being in the middle, so to speak. You know, you hear me talk about that, and that's where the trades are iffy. You know, if everything's above here, it doesn't mean you won't get some good setups there, but you got to look at the big picture, and this is more rangy looking, so this is like in the middle, and you could just as easily, you're swinging on both sides of the EMA here, and so you could get trying to go short with prices right at the EMA like that, you know, can be questionable. So especially when that's a doji, that's not a very good, that's too bullish, and then you got the doji, so there's not a very good signal bar. It's a first entry as well, and if he'd have waited on the second entry, he'd have seen that prices were getting back in the range, and you probably wouldn't want to take that second entry either there. So that's another thing too that I didn't even catch. You're going short on a first entry right there, and it's not a very good signal bar. Your good signal bar didn't happen till right here, and then that's too far moved from the high of the swing. You can't even get in that with a 2-point stop most likely, and then you also got a little double bottom there. It didn't close quite on its low. There's just a lot of different things you can look at that should keep you out of that trade. But it takes experience, so I get that. But anyway, I just thought I'd share that chart. Didn't get a lot of charts today. I got a couple of others, but nothing interesting that's worth really talking about. So I'm going to wrap it up. Hope you have had a good trading day. I hope you have you've had a good week, and we'll be back tomorrow to wrap up the week. But I'm going to close it out for today. This is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.